All right, folks, today I'm going to show off some of my miniatures from smaller manufacturers. This is part of a series, and the series is not just Victrix and Warlord. Most of my armies are admittedly mostly plastics from Victrix and Warlord, but I've been doing a lot of purchasing and painting of miniatures from smaller brands out there where they're just really advancing the artistry of miniatures in a really exciting way. And I'm actually going to be showing today miniatures from a couple of different companies, but the spotlight is on Relic miniatures. So I've ordered quite a bit from Relic, and you see some of it sitting here on my painting table, ready to get some paint in the future. And you know, this guy especially, I'm pretty happy with. He graced the cover of Ancient Warfare magazine some years ago, and I saw an advertisement for it in the magazine and thought, why not? Let me reach out to this company, Relic. I didn't really know them. Let me reach out to them and see if they have any of these sitting out back that they might be able to send me. They responded really quickly and said, you know what, we'll cast some more up, and now it's for sale on the website again. So I'm pretty happy with that. I actually might order another one. I'd like to have one maybe embedded in a unit and one off to the side as a hero model. So let's show some of the things I've painted. Let's start with the historicals. And I know the series is not just Victrix and Warlord, but of course there's going to be some Victrix and Warlord. How can you help it? So here's a Warlord elephant. But to spruce him up, give him a little more life, and I'm not really going to bother showcasing the elephant itself, I put on two of the light archers from the Relic range. These, I believe, come from the, I think they might call them big minis, something like that. They're a little larger scale than what they typically have. Typically, their models are a little more slight of frame and have more realistic proportions. These are some of the chunky boys that you would get that match really well with manufacturers like older Citadel or Victrix, Wargames, Foundry, things like that. So these two guys are really versatile, and here I'm using them as Pyrrhic archers. Accompanying an elephant. I've got some little big men transfers on there, and these shields I think might come from an Aventine kit. I don't think these shields came with this kit. I really should look that up beforehand. But the transfers definitely don't belong here. The transfers are for 15 millimeter Pelta shields for I think they support the ranges for games like DBA. I am a big lover of little big men shields, but as we're gonna get on to further in this video, I'm looking to branch out a little bit and get a little more experience with some other manufacturers. So these two archers, I was looking for a use for them. This felt like a pretty good one. I do really like that both of them have arrows. You know, too often manufacturers just give you a bow and the guy in that pose and the arrow's nowhere to be seen. I do like kind of this action shot. I'd love it if I had strung these up. I have some more of these like right here waiting to be painted. Perhaps I will put, oh man, and yeah, look at his features. Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. You see he's got a nice little headband. These are versatile, like I said. You could use these as a Cretan archer. I tend to think of them as Neo-Cretans because Neo-Cretans don't really have a defined look. So I like to say these are them, and they could also be convincing North African, or you know, you could even use them in a pinch if you're looking for archers from Sardinia or from Italy. You could use them for that as well. And of course, Greeks, any form of Greek really is going to work really well here. All right, let's get on to some more painted stuff. Spent a long time on two archers there. Here's another one where I've used multiple manufacturers, and it's more elephants. Oh, look at this. This isn't even going to fit. That's okay. With these paintbrushes here to help me know where the edges of the camera are. So let me see if I move these up a little. Yeah, all right. So these riders are Relic riders. And why do I have Relic riders on these, really admittedly beautiful Aventine elephants? Well, I love Aventine to death. I've got great models. I actually like their elephant riders quite a bit. I ordered twice, large orders, and twice they didn't send me the right riders. So I have 6 now Numidian style riders, which I have no use for because I ordered Indian style elephants. But no bother. I didn't complain because I love the miniatures I got. So I just said, you know what? I'll just order replacement riders from somewhere else. And good folks at Relic were able to hook me up. These fit pretty well. The legs don't always fit exactly like they're seated, but remember when somebody's actively riding, they're going to flex their legs a little so they're sitting high in the saddle. So I still think this works pretty well. Pretty quick paint job on these, just some contrast paints and a really basic highlight. Just to get them on the table. These are going to be riders in my Pyrrhic army as well. Thinking earlier in the Pyrrhic conflicts, mainland Italy. Oh, need to take this. More from Ironheart Artisans. I actually will have a feature of them soon, so keep your eyes out. All right, let's get into a little more mythic. We have here a Poseidon figure from Relic's Mythic range. So Relic does really great proportioned historicals. They also have a Mythic range, which to me really brings you back to the 60s and I think some of them were 70s movies. I forget the animatronics guy or maybe he's claymation or stop motion cinematographer that's really famous, but think of Jason and the Argonauts and think of also Clash of the Titans, right? Those really iconic mythic scenes where you have these monsters set up. These miniatures, to me, evoke that feeling really exceptionally well, and they also ground it back to human proportions, which is nice. The things are believable in size, and for me in particular, that suits my taste, as I like my elephants to really be the largest thing on the table. So here's Poseidon. What I did with him is, this is before I'd really gotten any good with using still water effects. This is my first foray into ever using spackle. So I used a little spackle around his feet to create some waves. And then hit the whole thing as well as the bottom of his cape. I'm not sure if it really shows through here, with some gloss varnish. My ability to show water effects has grown quite a bit since then. If I were to redo this, I'd probably have him on a larger base with a little more water and maybe the waves sculpted to lift him up, and I would be using more still water effects. But I like what I worked out here. That guy is meant to represent a Pegasus for Kings of War, and then just random stuff for some other games. Here's Hades from that same line. I did mess up my assembly a little bit. That's what you get for not using proper lighting. I did it away from my desk. And by the time I primed it and got it ready to go, I realized my mistake and thought, you know what, I'm going to move on because I have a tournament in a few days, and I did. So this again represents a Pegasus Wizard or a Mind Screech in Kings of War. I gave him a little bit of a different look as he's Hades. I made sure to have black in there, and I also gave him more dead grass on his base. The water effect went with some flowers, I think, pretty well. And Hades, I wanted to be dead, like he's sucking some of the life out of here. And he's being held aloft by, I don't know, dead energies, something. I think there's some bones coming out of there. It's really cool, really inventive. I'm not sure exactly what inspired that model, but I love it. This guy, probably my favorite of the bunch. This is Zeus, obviously, right? Again, I use him as a wizard or a Mind Screech, and in both cases, I use it for the ones who are specialized in using the spell Lightning Bolt. As you can tell, it's really readily apparent that this is the guy who's good at lightning. It's also got this nice eagle here, which I think is pretty cool, held aloft by a gust of wind, and I gave him a more neutral base that matched the rest of the army, so nothing really special there. This one was really easy to assemble. You would think with the weight of this bird it would be difficult, but it actually went together really, really nicely. I would say the same for Poseidon. He just naturally went exactly where he belonged. Hades was a little more iffy. Because of the realistic proportions and the realistic anatomy, I think sometimes that comes with some challenges in assembly because you have some pieces that are a little more delicate. And I didn't take my time. I definitely will in the future with this manufacturer. All right, it's probably my favorite from the ranges they offer. I believe this is Polyphemus. This is a Cyclops. I love this guy. He went together like a dream. If I remember correctly, he was one arm, two arm, and a head as separate parts. So he's a 4-part miniature. There was an arm option, I believe, for this arm that had a club in it. It's somewhere here. But I chose the axe just because it looks pretty gnarly. I just particularly like the wrappings around the band, around the handle here. His scale armor is pretty distinctive, but he's got like linothorax bottom and top. Just really love it. And like most of the mythic pieces I have in my Kings of War armies, I use these broken pillars on the bases just to kind of unify the mythic elements. The horsehair was really, had some natural separations of kind of clumps of horsehair, and I used that to create multicolors. His face has great details, especially, you know, teeth and mouth. It's just with very little effort, these higher areas pick themselves out, which I really love in a miniature. As you know, I'm not the world's most detailed painter. I am one of the quickest, though. So that is Polyphemus. I use him as a lot of different things in the game, mostly a giant or a new Titan miniature called the Monarch. All right, so a few more miniatures to show you. Not just Warlord, but here's a bunch of Warlord miniatures. Why am I showing you these? Well, a couple things to notice. One, these guys have those chunky faces that you might recognize from Marauder era or from Wargames Foundry, manufacturers like that. I have mixed in just a couple shields here from Relic's line. I think this one and this one near the end, I think are Relic. Might be mistaken on that one. These might actually all be Warlord shields. But what I'm trying to point out here is I used designs, as you can tell a little sloppily, that were directly inspired by the shield transfers that Relic makes. So why didn't I just buy some of their shield transfers? Well, I'm so used to using little big men that, you know, honestly, I felt like if I bought these shield transfers, I would just mess them up. And I only had a limited amount of these shields. Why did I think I'd mess them up? Well, back in the 90s, the last time I used any waterslide transfers was for Blood Bowl, back in the Games Workshop days. And I just made a mess of that. And those miniatures still have really folded, creased, and torn water slides on them. And every time I look at them, I just kind of recoil in terror. I think that the technology has probably gotten better since then. And also I've gotten better at following instructions. So I'd like to take another go at it. Here are some miniatures by Relic, again with these shields inspired by Relic's own waterslide range. And these are actually Theraphori miniatures, so like 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 2 Warlord guys mixed in here, and then we've got the shields by Relic. And yeah, actually, you know, the shields by Relic all have this metal boss in the center, so you can tell them, I guess it's just these 4. All of them are meant to mirror their water slides, but only those 4 are actually Relic miniatures, and I love them. They can mix, and what I was trying to show by putting these in the video is showing that you can mix them into your units if you want a little variety. They mix pretty well with other manufacturers, even the chunky boys like Warlord makes. They look even better on their own. So I would highly recommend checking them out. They have a lot of variety because they often have these socketed heads, and many of the unit types that they have available actually have 4 to 8 sculpts total, so it's pretty cool. These shields in particular are something that I find really helpful because they have a Rumphia built right into them. So suddenly these Therophori are now Thracian Therophori, so I can use them as javelin wielding, as spear wielding, or if I'd like to, I can really emphasize the Rumphia and say that they have two-handed weapons for games that have specialized rules for something like that. That's it for Relic Miniatures today. As you can see from my painting table, I'm going to have more to show in the future. I'm really looking forward to painting more from these guys, and I'll leave you with a view of Polyphemus again and say have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.